in as much as we cannot have another edition sa susunod na linggo dahil baka mapagkamalang nangangaroling na tayo. So, wala na yun. Although meron kaming balita na may ilang nangangaroling kahit hindi Pasko. Meron kami na balita na pati si Treasurer Briones kinikilan paglabas, pagsakay sa auto. Talaga nga naman mahirap ang buhay. Pero dun sa puntong yon, pag-uusapan natin yung 2014. Ano ba nangyari ngayong 2014? Ito ba yung tinatawag ng Queen of England na horrible year? Annus horribilis. Pero yun yung annus double N. Don't worry. It's not what you feel. Okay? So simulan natin ating palatuntunan. Kasama ko po si Undersecretary Ted Herbosa mula sa Department of Health. Narito rin po naman si Engineer Bert Suansing, dating Chief ng LTFRB at ng LTO. Mamaya tatanungin natin anong slogan ba ngayon tungkol sa plaka, kung merong matatag na republika, yung ba no plate available. At si Senior Superintendent Roland Po mula sa Philippine National Police. We'll ask our guests for a brief description of 2014, how it was. Dahilan sa susunod na edisyon, sa January 5, we'll have a new set of guests to talk about what will probably happen in 2015. So let's start. Usec, Ted, aside from your being an endangered species at the Department of Health, how is it?
Well, thank you muna, Melo, for the invitation. Matagal na si Melo ini-invite ako dito, pero ang Monday namin is Execom meeting eh. Pero ngayon medyo libre tayo, kaya
Wala nang Execom ngayon.
Hindi ko alam eh, kasi hindi na ako naiimbitahan. And then, anyway, tuloy tayo sa usapan, yung mga nangyari sa 2014. I think maganda ang sa kagawaran ng kalusugan, kung hindi tayo mag-concentrate dito sa nangyari sa October, November, ang talagang pinakamalaking nangyari ay yung sin taxes na kinita noong 2013 ay nailagay na sa budget ng 2014. Kaya nailagay doon ang 35.7 billion. So ang budget nung pumasok po kami nung 2010, nasa 24 billion lang ang budget ng health for the whole country, of about 100 million. Pero nitong 2014, napataas na po namin yan sa 90 million. At doon sa 90
Bilyones.
Bilyones ha. At doon sa 90 billion na yon, ang naidagdag doon, 35 billion, 35.7, ay para sa PhilHealth ng lahat ng mahihirap na Pilipino. Ang estimate namin, 35 billion will pay for the premiums of 14.7 million families. Ang kaya niyang bayaran at 2,400 per year kasi ang membership sa PhilHealth. So lahat ng mahihirap dapat covered na at membro na. Ang problema namin, hindi yata alam ng mga mahihirap pa na miyembro na sila. Yan ang isa pang programa na dapat matutukan. Tapos naidagdag natin recently, na nanggaling din sa syntax, itong senior citizen. Marami yatang nandun sa category na yun.
May mga mukha lang.
PhilHealth na rin ho kayo. And if you are not part of any membership, kung hindi kayo dati, paying member, or hindi kayo lifetime member ng PhilHealth, hindi kayo, yung dati Medicare, kayo po ay membro na rin dun sa bagong batas na kakapirma lang nitong November. So, ang pondong ginagamit doon, galing din sa syntax. So, aside from that, ang isa pang malaking nagawa namin, yung pondo, about 13 billion ang naisama sa pag-modernize ng mga public facilities. Ito yung, kung bibilangin natin mula 2010, 3,576 na health centers. Ito yung rural health unit, district hospital, provincial hospital na napondohan sa increased budget para sa universal. Kasi hindi ho pwedeng may PhilHealth ka lang eh. Di ba? Anong gagawin mo ng PhilHealth membership? Kung member ka nga, wala ka namang hospital or health center na pupuntahan. So kailangan yung hospital may gamot, may pasilidad, may laboratory, may x-ray, may CT scan, may doktor para magamot ka.
Okay.
So yun ang mga pinakamalaki.
Okay.
Siguro mamaya pag-usapan ko yung iba pa.
I will have to
pa eh.
ask you this. On the way to Aristocrat sa ating Tapatan, nakinig ako sa radyo at merong isang OFW na galing sa abroad tapos pinuntahan ng pulis at pinuntahan ng doktor at pina-quarantine doon sa Jose Lingad Medical Center sa San Fernando. Paano ba? Ano bang protocol
Okay.
talaga tungkol sa
Very
Ebola?
good. Maganda yung tinanong mo kasi nung Holy Week, Holy Wednesday, naalala nyo may isang Pilipino galing UAE na nakapasok na MERS coronavirus. At ang utos ng presidente sa amin, hanapin yung 414 passengers na nakasakay dun sa eroplanong kasama niya. At nagawa namin yon. Yan pong problema na yan na nagkakaroon ng gulo sa isang barangay, nakita na namin nun. At isa yan sa mga recommendations ko. Sabi ko, huwag tayong gagamit ng patrol car at ng pulis. Kailangan health professional ang pupunta sa barangay para hindi na. Ngayon, ang problema itong sa Pampanga, sa Region 3, mukhang hindi natuto. Kasi sa NCR namin nakita yung problema na yun eh. Pag pinuntahan dun sa kabahayan, in fact, nagsalita ako sa NCRPO about this eh. Kasi naimbitahan ako para mapag-usapan ito. So, ang usapan namin talaga, yung lang magre-resist. In fact, ang sabi namin sa police, magpa-park ng kotse lang, malayo yung police car, kahit dun sa kabilang block, para hindi nakikita nung kabarangay. Kasi akala kriminal, bakit police? Ambulansya ang pupunta o Department of Health o Bureau of Quarantine. So, ganun ang usapan namin. Ewan ko bakit itong insidente nga, nadidinig ko rin, sabi ko parang hindi sila natuto, pinag-usapan na namin yan, na dapat yung police hindi kukunin yung pasyente. At ano yan, pakikiusapan, at dapat may papel, may quarantine order. Tama yung pinag-usapan namin yun. Kasi yung police, wala namang warrant of arrest. The equivalent of this is a quarantine order signed by the Secretary of Health.
Aha. So, merong problema ron.
Meron.
Pero sabi ng OFW
pinapakinggan
kasi-
ko yun. Nakita ko, nagkagulo eh. Sabi nung OFW, para daw piyesta doon. Lahat ng kapit. So, na-humiliate natin yung OFW. Sabi natin, bayani natin yung mga OFW. Pagkatapos, tatratuhin natin pag umuwi sila para sa Pasko. May police car na nasa harap ng bahay nila. Alam mo naman ang mentality ng kapitbahay dito. Umuwi, galing Sierra Leone, may police doon. Labasan lahat yung...
Siyempre, akala
Siyempre.
shooting.
Ganun nga, akala nga may shooting. So sabi nga ng so I think from our experience in April, nakita na namin to at pinag-usapan na namin to with the police but sa National Capital Region, mukhang hindi na, anong tawag dito?
Hindi nakarating.
Nakascade sa Region 3. So yan, natuto sila ng problema ngayon sa...
Okay.
pag-handle.
Babalikan natin yan. Sa transport, how is it? Kayo tracker din at the same time. Pero may kaibigan akong diplomat. Hanggang ngayon, walang plaka yung kanyang sasakyan at bigla daw siya natututo ng Philippine history. Dahilan sa yung pobreng diplomat, pag sinisita ng MMDA, kasi sinasabi niya, diplomat ako, sasabihin ng MMDA, walang diplomat sa amin dahil no plate, no travel. What do you know about Philippine history? Lagi ikang ang kilalang bayani ng MMDA, si Ninoy Aquino. Kung hindi man, yung tatlong bayani doon sa isang kulay blue. Paano yun? Ano ho bang pagkakaalam nyo?
Well, anyway,
Lapit lang po sa microphone.
ito magtatapos na taon natin, 2014. Exciting ito para sa larangan ng transportasyon. Exciting in a way na ang daming pumuputok na problema. No? Una-una na nga dyan, noong Pebrero, inumpisahan ng lungsod ng Maynila na kontrolin ang takbo ng mga truck. At ang naging resulta niyan, of course, maraming numerong lumabas as far as yung economics natin ang pag-uusapan. No? Unti-unti naman nabigyan ng solusyon yung bagay na yon. Iba pang problema natin sa transportasyon, of course, nandyan yung araw-araw na travels ng mga pasahero na sumasakay ng MRT. Kinakailangan nilang pumila ng almost from 45 minutes to 1.5 hours just to take a 45-minute ride. from Quezon up to the end of the line, doon sa may
Taft Avenue.
Taft Avenue.
Kung hindi lalabas
Kung
doon
hindi
sa
lalampas.
terminal.
Oo, yes. At kung minsan humihinto-hinto pa. Marami nang nasabi ang departamento tungkol dyan sa bagay na yan. At binibigyan nila ng solusyon. Ano? Ang solusyon nga lang, mukhang hindi natin makakakitaan ng prutas sa susunod na taon dahil mahaba ang gestation period pagdating dyan sa mga bagay na yan. Ang prevalent ngayon na problema as far as transportation is concerned, concerning security rin. No? Araw-araw nababalitaan natin yung mga kababayan natin na sumasakay ng taxi, no? Na either namumolestya or naho-hold up. Ngayong araw na ito, sa aking pagkakaalam, ang Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board magpipirma ng isang memorandum of agreement with the PNP, with the CHPG, with LTO, DILG, then with an NGO, no, yung mga taxi associations, para nga arestuhin yung problema na yan. Ang tayo namang mamamayan, of course, ang daming involved. Sabi nga, the fruit of the pudding is in the eating. Yun.
So, may pudding na.
May pudding na, ginagawa na.
Ginagawa
Titikman
na. Kakainin na lang.
Kakainin.
Yun ay kung mangyayari.
Kung mangyayari. Yeah.
Yun ang masaya nito. Sa police po naman kaya, how would you describe 2014? Well, aside from these squabbles involving the chief PNP. Pareho kayong may kwento. Ano po ang sitwasyon?
Ang Philippine National Police nitong magtatapos na taon ay dumaranas ng hindi mo masayang masaya. It's a very exciting year and it's not yet done. May dadating pa. Pero ito kasing 2014, nagsimula tayo sa pag-implementa ng bagong batas sa baril saka ammunitions, yung Republic Act 10591 na siyang sinasabi ng ating Chief of the Philippine National Police, ni Police Director General Alan Purisima, na pinagsimulan ng lahat ng kaguluhan o kalbaryo, ika nga, ng ating pamunuan. The implementation of the said comprehensive firearms and ammunitions law, including the search in crime or the perception of it. Kasi nga ang sinasabi, beside the implementation of the new firearms law, tumaas ang krimen noong 2013. At sinasabi nila ngayong taon, pero ang sinasabi ng ating pamunuan at ang kapulisan, ito rin yung panibagong policy na ipina-implement ng ating Chief PNP noon, si Chief PNP Purisima, siya pa naman Chief. So, nakikita natin na itong 2014 na pinamumunuan ng ating Chief PNP si Purisima at dahil na rin siya rin ang sinasabing may pinakamahabang stint as the Chief PNP, marami siyang pinatupad na bago sa PNP. So nagkaroon tayo ng parang an upheaval, not necessarily a revolution, but an upheaval in terms of policies and implementation of new laws. Kung babalikan natin yung Republic Act 10591, ito po yung bagong batas sa pag-aari ng baril at ammunition. So, dito nagkaroon ng contentious issues na sinasabi ng pinahirapan ng PNP ang lahat ng mga legal firearms holders and the carrying of it outside. So sinisisi nila sa ating Chief of the Philippine National Police na siyang naging buod o simula ng lahat ng batiko sa kanya.
Okay.
Pero kung titingnan natin, ang Republic Act 10591 ay nakasad na doon ang mga alituntunin o mga requirements na dapat sundin ng isang nagmamayari ng baril at nang bibili ng baril. The PNP only has to implement it. So, sa aking opinion ay wala akong nakikitang masyadong kinalaman ng PNP sa batas na yan dahil pina-implement lang sa atin. Ang naging issue dyan is the delivery of the license cards for the previous printed cards ng WearFast. So ang sinasabi nila, masyado mataas at pinasubcontract din sa mga established courier service. Ano? Ang opinion ko dyan, bakit mataas at bakit pinasubcontract? Kung titingnan nyo yung buod ng presyo na yan, ang WearFast courier service, kaya 290 and mataas sa ordinaryo, no? Kasi hindi nila iwan yung license card mo kung wala ka.
So chances
Babalik.
are, maghihintay.
Hindi lang, babalik sa'yo. So, there's a big possibility that the license cards will be delivered twice or even 3 times. So, kung 2 beses, 3 beses mo i-deliver, kailangan magtaas ka ng singil. So, I think it's, ang hindi lang pagkakaintindihan dito is yung pagpapaliwanag. At saka yung question is the manner on how the courier service won its bid. So, I think that's for the court to decide. Pero yun po ang idea noon ng courier service. No? So, ang nangyari ngayon sa implementation ng Republic Act 10591 ay tinanggap naman natin mga kababayan na yan, ang procedure na yan, although meron tayong grudgingly na tinasabi na sumunod, pero sumunod na. So, dumako tayo sa crime. Ano, sa ating statistics ngayong taon, noong 2013, umabot na tayo sa 1 million mahigit. Kung di ako nagkakamali ay 1,033,833 ang lahat ng naitalang krimen last year. That's January to December. Ngayong taon, mula January hanggang October, meron tayong 990,056. 10,000 na lang, aabot na tayo sa 1 milyon. So itong 1 milyon na krimen ay binubuo ng humigit kumulang 457,000 index crimes. At yung index crimes na ito, itong mahigit 457,000, kaya tinawag natin index crime, ito yung nagpapahiwatig o batayan natin kung ang isang lugar, syudad o itong bansa natin ay mataas ang krimen. Ito yung index natin. Ito yung mga crimes against property, ito yung mga pagnanakaw, pang-hold up, lahat. Saka crimes against person, yung pananakit, pagpatay, lahat, at saka yung rape. Dito sa index crime natin, bumaba yung tinatawag nating crimes against person, pero tumaas naman yung ating tinatawag na crimes against property. So masasabi natin ito yung mga krimen na may mga financial motive. Itong rape na dati-rati ay crimes against person, naging hiwalay na to. Tumaas din ang ating rape. Ang pamunuan ng Women's and Children's Desk ng PNP ay sinasabi nilang ang pagtaas ng rape ay bunsod ng pagtatala ng lahat ng krimen nangyayari mula sa barangay, siyudad, munisipyo, probinsya, lahat. Ganun pa man, talagang tumaas mula 2013 hanggang ngayon. So, ang PNP, sa tingin ko naman sa pangyayaring ito, kakaiba ang nangyari ngayong taon. Nakatutok o nakafocus ang karamihan ng ating kababayan, lalong-lalo ng ating media, sa ating PNP. Dahil sa mga pinapatupad nating mga bagong batas, yun yung new firearms law. Dahil sa maraming naging pansin sa ating Chief PNP. So, kakaiba ang 2014. Ngayon lang nangyari na ang focus ng mamamayan, ng kasama ng media ay nasa PNP. So, masama ba ito? Pangit. Sa aking pananaw, ito ay napakagandang pangyayari. Kasi ngayon lang nangyari na ang PNP ay nabantayan araw-araw. So, kung makikita mo, ang PNP ay talagang gumawa ng maganda, gagawa ng maganda kung ayaw nila mabatikos. So the focus that was made on the PNP for the year 2014 made us better, made us more efficient and effective. At ito ay makikita na natin lalo sa 2015. Kasi itong 2014 nagsimula, nakita natin lahat ang dapat gawin. Sa 2015, we should expect a better PNP.
Very well. Kita nyo, simula pa lang yan. Pero babalikan ko si Dr. Herbosa. Yung tungkol doon sa basic, primary health care. How far have we gone? Dahil kung nung araw ang sabi, nakamamatay weak lungs o thesis, tapos yung iba pang mga karamdaman, ngayon lifestyle na eh.
Oo, tama po yan. Ano? Alam niyo yung primary healthcare, matagal nang tinutukan. Kasi pag wala kang pera masyado, nung panahon ng mga nakaraang administration, lahat ng government taxes, binubuhos sa primary healthcare. Ano ba ito? Ito yung mga barangay health stations, attention sa mga buntis, sa mga bata, mabakunahan sila, at yung mga common diseases, yung mga diarrhea, yung mga infectious diseases, para makontrol mo. Pero today, nagbago yung ating disease pattern. Nagkaroon ng transition. Mas marami nang namamatay sa heart attack kesa sa pneumonia o diarrhea na bata. So ang killers natin ngayon nag-iba. Heart attack, stroke, cancer, tsaka yung trauma, violence or accidental. So yun yung apat na top 4. Ngayon, yun pa rin ba ang sistema na kailangan natin, yung barangay health worker pa rin ba? Where in fact, pag let's say sa na-aksidente ka, motorsiklo, hindi barangay health worker tutulong sa'yo. Ang kailangan mo, ambulansya, madala ka sa emergency room na kumpleto gamit, ma-x-ray, kakara kung bali ang buto mo, maayos ng doktor.
May datos ba kayo sa mga na-aksidente na sa motorsiklo?
Oo. Meron kaming ONIS, no, yung kasama din namin ng pulis, yung online injury surveillance system.
Ilan ang namatay sa aksidente sa motorsiklo dahil sa walang helmet?
Hindi ko, majority, parang 9 out of 10 of the deaths were those not wearing helmets. Hindi ako exact dun sa figure, pero napakataas. Sigurado kasi yun, if you're in a moving vehicle like a motorcycle and you're not wearing a helmet, ang tawag naming mga doktor dyan, organ donor. Kasi bata yon, walang sakit yon, at ang most likely cause of death that is head injury. Kasi mababangga yung ulo sa pavement, buhay ang kidney nyo at saka liver, pwedeng i-harvest. Kaya ang tawag namin mga doktor sa bumibili ng motorsiklo, organ donor.
Ganon. So, hindi kaya ang kailangan natin an icon to say na kung magmumotorsiklo ka, dapat naka-helmet ka.
Kaya gusto yung pinupuntahan mo.
Hindi. We need an icon. Somebody convincing.
No, we really need, yung helmet law is a law. Di ba? And the police is enforcing that. Kaya kita mo nga, hinihinto yung mga nagmumotor. Kasi wala silang helmet. So, it really saves lives. Na-prove na yan dito sa Pilipinas, sa ibang bansa. Sa Amerika, may mga states na nag-alis ng helmet law kasi masarap daw sumakay ng Harley Davidson nang walang helmet. Nakita nila, tumataas talaga yung death rate. So, binalik uli nung state. The state laws imposed again helmet laws strictly.
Yeah, okay.
So, proven na yan.
Trivia lang po mga kaibigan, during the mid-1980s sa Legazpi City, sa Daraga, bawal po ang nakamotorsiklo na may helmet dahil pagdududahan kayong isparo. Okay? So, may mga pulis, wala pang 500 meters, binabaril na mula dun sa regional command. So, mga 400 meters, binabaril na. Kaya, bawal mag-helmet. Kaya lang, hindi naman pwedeng exempted lahat sa helmet. Okay? So, sa atin po, kayo ay nasa Global Road Safety Partnership din. Do you have any idea as to the number of casualties sa mga aksidente? Dahil ipoprove lang natin na may conflict yung datos
Well, actually, pag data ang pinag-usapan natin, nagre-rely tayo ngayon sa ONIS, no? Yung sinatawag na, dahil kasi kinumbay na yan, yung ginagawa ng police, yung taras sa pulis, yeah. Kaya na yun,
Pinagsama na yan.
Pinagsama na yun. Pero hindsight, talagang mataas ang rate ng mga sakuna involving na nakasakay ng motor na hindi nag-helmet. Marami pa rin kasi nga ang bumibili ng motor, gumagamit ng motor na sa kanilang palagay mas matigas ang kanilang katawan kaysa sa baldosa, no? O kaya sa bumper ng sasakyan. Makita mo naman kung paano mag-operate yung ibang nagmumotor na kinakat yung mga kotse o kaya malalaking truck, hindi na inaalintana yung sakuna na maaaring mangyari. Yun. At hindi pa nga naka-helmet.
Nadadagdagan ba yung datos ng mga namamatay sa aksidente?
Actually, huminto tayo sa bilang na 34 deaths daily.
34 ang namamatay araw-araw sa aksidente.
Aksidente. Sanhi ng sakuna sa sasakyan.
Okay. May tanong dito mula sa isang participant na ayaw na magpakilala pero para kay Senior Superintendent Roland Po, kailan daw po ba tinatag yung Westmark? Would you have any idea? Westmark. Yung agency, right?
Ano yun? Where Fast. Where Fast Courier Service.
Where Fast. Okay.
Hindi ako privy doon sa pagtatayo noon. Wala ako sa firearms noon at that time. Ang mababanggit ko dyan, the contentious issue there, ang sinasabi ng mga may complaint sa ombudsman ay nakapag-deliver na sila bago na itatag formally yung courier service. So yun ang aking masasabi dyan. But on the exact date, hindi ko po malaman. So yun po ang basis ng kanilang pagsasampa ng kaso doon sa ombudsman na aligasyon nila nakapagsimulang mag-deliver ng card pero they are not formally awarded the bids or to deliver cards.
Okay. So I guess that answers the query. Pero how far have you gone in strengthening your internal affairs so as to, do a check on your people na hindi gagawa ng mga kababalaghan?
I think that's a very contentious issue or even a issue that is recurring every time that the PNP is on the spotlight. Ang sinasabi kasi nila dati, hanggang ngayon, ang Internal Affairs Service is still component of the PNP and the budget of the said service comes from the PNP budget. So ang PNP or even the Chief PNP signs the budget for the Internal Affairs Service. So kung makikita mo, the Internal Affairs, which is supposed to be investigating body for all personnel violating policies, regulations, nabubuhay sila sa PNP. So nagkakaroon ng pagdududa or even pag-aagam-agam on the part of the IAS to investigate the very organization that pays for its existence. Kaya nga ang sinasabi ng karamihan, ang IAS dapat ay maging independent body, including its personnel and more so its budget. So yun ang ating narinig lagi na hinihiling na ating mga kababayan. So ang tanong dyan is, malakas ba ang kanilang character to investigate? But basically I can say that it's strong in the sense that all complaints brought to their attention are being investigated properly.
Yeah.
Lahat naman na dinudulog doon na imbestigahan. Ang kakulangan siguro nito is yung mga motu proprio investigations or even their initiative to investigate on their own without any complaints brought to their office. So yun po ang kulang na nakikita natin dyan sa Internal Affairs Service.
Dahil sa pagbinabanggit kasi police, lalo na sa Quezon, ang naaalala yung Atimonan suicide. Kung hindi raw nabaril yun, nag-suicide. So, pero may kaso na eh. So that's why yung Internal Affairs would really play an important role.
Tama po yun, tama.
Okay, very well. We'll open the floor to our friends from the media for your questions. Let's start with the honorable gentleman from Quezon City, who will soon become an honorable gentleman from Antipolo. Linggoy.
Magandang umaga po. Una-una gusto ko magpasalamat kay Colonel Po. Dahil nung isang buwan na nakakalipas, nabanggit ko sa kanya yung forgotten corner of Maynila. Yung
Sa New Panaderos.
New Panaderos, Kalentong. For 1 month, at nagkaroon ng aksyon, pagkatapos po na-bring up ko dito sa Tapatan. Samantalang, previous to that, na-bring up ko kay Colonel Nana, kay Colonel Cruz, yung dalawang precinct commander ng Santa Mesa at Santa Ana, hindi nila alam kung kanino yung teritoryo. Pagkatapos po nung session dito, at nabanggit ko sa inyo at sa palagay ko inaksyonan ni Colonel nagkaroon ng Manila Traffic Enforcer. At ako po ay nakapagpasalamat kay Colonel Cruz, Colonel Nana, hindi po sa mga precinct commander. And for 1 month, every time na dumadaan ako doon na rush hour, hindi lang isa, kuminsan 3 yung traffic enforcer. Ngunit ngayong umaga, dahil umambon na wala po yung traffic enforcer. Alam ko po na ito ay hindi pulis. Ito po ay Manila Parking and Traffic Bureau. Ngunit, mukhang ang boss ng MTPB ay si Colonel Po. Dahil nung nalaman niya yung problema, na-solve yung problema. Pero nung nalaman ng mga pulis na assign sa Maynila, ay hindi po nagka-solusyon.
Okay.
Siguro po hindi naniniwala sa akin yung mga opisyal ng Maynila dahil pupunta na ako sa Antipolo.
Ay, siguro nga po. But anyway, any question today? Year-ender tayo.
Okay. Ang question ko today, alam na ba po ng mga commander ng PNP kung ilan po ang kanilang mga force multiplier? Kumbaga, kung may tanungin ako na isang commander, whether siya po ay district, NCR, precinct, o even mas mababa, masasagot ba nila kung ilan po ang security guard sa kanilang teritoryo, kung ilan po ang LGU, ibig sabihin city, yung traffic enforcer, or barangay level, ilan po ang barangay tanod sa
Okay.
kanyang jurisdiction.
Okay. Yes, please.
Maraming salamat sa iyong mga komentaryo. Masisiguro ko pong malalaman ng mga commander kung ilan ang kanilang force multiplier with the exception of security guards. Okay? Bakit ganon? So malalaman ng commander kung ilan ang BPAT niya. Ito yung tinatawag na Barangay Police Action Teams. Malalaman niya kung ilan ang traffic personnel, maski hindi police, kundi yung mga empleyado ng City Hall sa kanyang AOR. At ibang mga force multiplier kagaya ng mga barangay tanod, masasagot nila yan, ano? Pero yung security guards, I doubt it kung masasagot nila. Hindi pa nila masasagot yung bilang ng security guard sa kanilang mga jurisdiksyon. Kung meron man tayong matatanong may isa, very, very exceptional yon. Pero nakakasiguro ako na malalaman nila lahat ng force multiplier with the exception of security guards.
We'd like to acknowledge
Salamat
the
po.
arrival of Secretary Rafael Alunan, former DILG Secretary, former DOT Secretary. Ano ba yung nabalita ko magsisenador to? Anyway, please join us and welcome. All right. Welcome home. Welcome home. Okay. Dr. Herbosa, bago natin tanungin si Secretary Alunan, ano? Yung Ebola, yung MERS coronavirus, are they really threats to Filipinos in the Philippines?
Yes, yes. In fact, we discussed this very much with as part of our national security. In fact, yung Ebola, specifically Ebola is one of 3 diseases that the WHO declared as a public health emergency of international concern. Now, what is different, ang kaibahan nito, ang response ng bawat country. If you are an Ebola country, iba yung response nyo. Kaya ngayon, meron silang parang hindi nila palalabas without a quarantine certificate to protect other countries. So, kita nyo itong yung miners na Filipino OFW, they had a quarantine certificate from their own doctors in the mining camp before they are released. Kasi yun ang usapan. But there is no travel ban to enter Sierra Leone, Guinea, Now, the countries around this identified 3 countries, meron din silang required preparations because there's a public health threat to them. Ang country, like Philippines, we are across the globe. Ano ang threat sa atin? So, ang threat lang sa atin is that we have many Filipinos who work in those 3 countries. I think 1,700 documented and several more na undocumented that cross borders from Cote d'Ivoire, sa Senegal, and all the neighboring countries, Ghana, na porous pala yung borders na they can enter, and they can be based in, but they trade or drive a truck or something. So, what we need to do is to protect the country from this public health threat na hindi makapasok ang Ebola or MERS coronavirus in our country. So, totoo yun na talagang it's of international concern. The US declared it as a national security risk. And tama yun because Ebola is a disease that's classified as biosafety level 3, the highest. That means it may cause a threat when it enters your country. But it's also easy to control. So yun naman yung ibabalance ko sa inyo. Yes, it's a threat. It's a public health emergency of international concern. Tatlo lang yung disease na yun, yung Ebola, yung polio, which is increasing again dahil sa wars in the Middle East. They declared that as a public health emergency of international concern. We're polio-free. We're zero in Ebola. But we are watching these events. The third is H1N1. Naalala niyo yung pandemic nung H1N1, yung flu pandemic, because there was a threat of it becoming a pandemic na hopefully naman na stave. So, yung tatlo pa lang ang dineclare ng World Health Organization ng PHIC, Public Health Emergency of International Concern. Because of that declaration, Ebola is important to us. Pero ang tanong ko naman sa inyo, as a Philippines, ilan na ho ba namatay na Pilipino sa Ebola? 0, di ba? So, ito bang actions natin are appropriate actions? Itong excessive quarantine. Itong incident ngayon of a complaint of a citizen being forced to be isolated in a hospital. Are these correct procedures that we're doing? So ito naman ang tanong na dapat natin malaman talaga yung tamang sagot. Kasi sometimes a strong response is a wrong response. 'Di ba? Pag yung daga binaril mo ng bomba, daming collateral damage. Dapat rat poison lang. 'Di ba? Ganun din naman yung taong may cancer, pag ginamot mo ng chemotherapy na pinakamagaling, patay yung cancer pero patay din yung pasyente. So, is the cure worse than the illness? So, yun yung problema. Are we giving quarantine measures where there is no public health threat?
Okay.
Di ba? Yun lang naman ang dapat clear understanding natin itong sa Ebola crisis. At dapat pag-usapan, I really like that the conversation continues. Kasi we can help agencies like the police how to handle yung issue na if there is a person that needs to be taken into the hospital, how will they handle themselves? Hindi yung ganitong magkakagulo. It will create a fiesta in the
Which is wrong.
Which I think is wrong because
pati yung privacy ng tao.
not only that, it creates a stigma to people who come from Sierra Leone or these workers. And we don't want that. Yung tanong ko sa inyo, yung positive na HIV ba dapat i-quarantine natin? Bakit yung taong nagtrabaho lang doon sa country na na hindi man siya, wala siyang symptoms, ika-quarantine mo? Bakit hindi yung HIV na men having sex with men, i-quarantine natin para tumigil yung pag-increase ng HIV? Yung mga tanong ko, yung patient na mag-positive sa MDR-TB, naalala niyo, Amerika, hinabol nila yung isang American citizen na nakapag-travel to Italy, that rode an airplane, CDC, looked for him and brought him back to the US because he was suffering from multiple drug-resistant TB. Marami tayong MDR-TB in the Philippines.
Ganun ba?
Baka nakasakay nyo sa jeep, nakasakay nyo sa elevator. Shouldn't we quarantine them as well? So ito yung mga issues na scientific na kailangan natin ma-discuss para yung basis ng ating actions hindi either too much or too little.
Okay. Secretary Alunan, how would you describe 2014 for the Philippines and for the Filipinos?
Well,
Pakilapit na yan.
if you talk about the macroeconomy, the macroeconomy is going great guns. Inflation is down. Our investment upgrades are up. Investments are coming in. Our growth rate is one of the most robust in this part of the world. Wala tayong masabi doon sa macroeconomy. However, sa microeconomy, I think there's a disconnect. Because as the upper crust gets richer, benefiting from the growth of the macroeconomy, at the lower level, sa micro level, it's not felt. So there's a need to address the gaps, through policy interventions.
Okay.
I think people today are concerned about peace and order, but we'll always have peace and order problems. Okay. The question that we have to ask ourselves is our criminal justice system working to ensure that we don't foster or sustain a culture of impunity? I think that's the most important thing, because kung walang culture of impunity, matatakot ang tao to fool around. Right? Kung But if law enforcement and the rest of the criminal justice system is failing to meet the standards of public safety and security, then obviously people will not be constrained to follow the law. So,
Okay.
yun ang dapat ang focus. No? Now, in the area of foreign relations, I think we're doing extremely well in the area of foreign relations, but we do have this thorny issue with China, and that still needs to be resolved. But that may take quite a while. I think what's important is for the country to clearly define its national goals, explain to the people what the national interest is, and protect it the best way it can.
Okay. Pero nabanggit kanina ni Colonel Po na isang bagay na napupunan nila, yung petty crimes and crimes against property is on the way up. But there's a study by the Philippine Institute for Developmental Studies with Dr. Albert, which said that the main reason for crimes against property is income disparity. Could this be the reason why there is this gap between yung mga mayayaman at yung mahihirap?
Why? PDAF and DAP, the people who are involved, are they poor?
Well, sabi nila they are in the service of the poor. That's what I heard.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with class. If you look at all our socio-economic classes, you'll always have crooks up and down the line. Nasa tao yan eh. No? I think the reason why there's an increase in crimes against property and persons, well, first of all, our population base has gone up, okay, has grown. So to the extent that we haven't been able to get our people to follow the rules, you can expect the crime volume to go up. No? Now, if you look at the spectrum, the crime spectrum, you have different crimes. What we have to look at is the empirical evidence as to whether each particular crime is on the rise or not. But we have to properly index that. Nasa indexing yan eh. Number three, you have to look also at the possibility of, or you look at the fact that more people are reporting crimes because, for example, they trust the police more. That's why they're reporting. The fact that they're reporting more you'll see a spike in the statistics. No, it might give the wrong impression that crime is up, but it's just that more people are reporting because they trust
The police.
The police. So those are the things you have to look at.
Okay, very well. We'll resume to questions from the media and the audience. Yes, please.
I just want to ask the Department of Health about yung dating ginagawa ni Secretary Ona, yung pina-privatize yung mga hospital kagaya ng ano.
Thank you very much. Let me first correct you, no? There is no program of privatization of the healthcare industry. We have long been privatized. 50% of our healthcare is actually owned by the private sector. That's the truth, because we followed the American system. Yung universal healthcare changes that model. That model now is that we put the money in insurance of the people. So ngayon, ang tanong ko sa inyo, yung pinagagawa sa amin is part of the public-private partnership program of the President. It is a PPP. PPP is different from privatization. In fact, ibang agency po yon. May Asset Privatization Trust that is the one in charge of that, which is under the DOF. Yung public-private partnership is under the NEDA, National Economic Development Authority. There is a PPP office that classifies whether what you're doing is privatization or not. So yung ginagawa namin, that we are going to build our first PPP hospital. Isa sa accomplishments natin yon. That was approved in 2013 and we signed the contract for the building of the Philippine Orthopedic Center. Unfortunately, talo kami sa media. The media followed what the nationalists were saying, that it was a privatization, when in fact it is not. What do we have? We have a build, operate, transfer contract. A BOT means that the money is going to come from the private sector, and the private sector builds our hospital, which is going to be 700 beds. 70% of the beds would be required to be for government service patients. So para sa poor, para sa may hirap, sino magbabayad sa kanila? PhilHealth. Kasi nabayaran na natin yung mahihirap through the sin tax. And then yung ospital na tinayo nila, 210 lang ang private. So hindi siya privatization. We are asking the private sector to run a government hospital with government-like services, no balance billing. Ngayon, after 25 years, the hospital is owned na again by the government. Ibibigay sa government. Imagine, nakapagpatayo ka ng 700-bed hospital, 5.6 billion, hindi ka naglabas ng pera, ang nilabas mo lang lupa and some collateral for support in the first 5 years of operations. And then you get to own a modern, world-class orthopedic hospital. So, it's proven. Japan, UK, Canada, Australia, all of them, Mexico, have gone into these PPP programs for health. Huli na nga tayo eh. Huli na nga ang Pilipinas eh. We're just building our first PPP hospital. Can you imagine? In the UK, they built 400 of their old hospitals into modern health facilities. So huwag kayong maniwala dun sa sinasabi na privatization yan. Kasi it's totally wrong. They don't understand what has been done to the financing system. Ginawa namin, binigay yung pera sa tao mismo, to the poor. Now, that poor, pwede na siyang mamili. Gusto niya bang private hospital, public hospital, or PPP hospital? Anong ibig sabihin? Sa PPP hospital, you'll have the quality and efficiency of private na hindi siksikan at madumi at walang bastos na doktor o nurse dahil masungit, di ba? Or gusto mo, pumila ka sa government hospital, libre ka rin doon. So now, you add a third choice. So yun yung ginagawa namin. And yung PPP as an effort, matagal nang ginagawa sa Pilipinas, di nyo lang alam. Paano ba nagkakaroon ng gamit yung mga ospital natin? Paano nagkaroon ng 54 dialysis machines ang heart, ang kidney? Because of a public-private partnership na multi-awarded. In-award po yan ng World Bank, ng UN, and that's the reason why naniniwala sila sa atin kasi we've done it with other equipment. Yung cancer center sa Jose Reyes, linear accelerator, public-private partnership din siya. Yung mga diagnostic, kasi walang pera ang gobyerno nun eh. So napilitan tayo mag-outsource. So yun yung mga reklamo na sabi tumataas. Paanong tataas? Dati wala naman yung serbisyo. Mona Lisa Hospital lang ang meron ka. You lie there, lalagyan ka ng swero, hintayin ka mamatay. Warehouse of death ang tawag ko doon. They're not Mona Lisa Hospital. They are warehouses of death. That means you put the poor there, you put an IV, and wait for them to die. Hindi ganun ang healthcare for an investment-grade country. We need to think of a better way to finance healthcare, and that's an issue. In any country you go to, when it's an election time, whether it's Japan, it's the UK, or it's the US, they will talk about healthcare and the financing of healthcare.
Okay.
Kay DOH din. I understand the DNR-EMB is very active in monitoring air pollution in Metro Manila. Malaking problema tayo dun sa LTO. Kasi sa smoke belchers, it's the LTO dapat ang may solusyon dyan eh. Yung non-appearance. Now, the DNR-EMB is very actively monitoring these things. Kanya lang, wala silang police power. Now, is the DOH, kasi di ba, this concerns health eh. Dapat di ba, pumapil din ng DOH tungkol dun sa problema ng air pollution.
Correct. Actually, in fact, I was in communication with DENR, EMB, with advocates for clean air, and I've been attending their meetings. In fact, I was supposed to go to their launch. Ang kaso nangyari may acting, so hindi ka nakasali ang DOH. Napalitan ako, if you remember, I'm also the acting director of the NCR. And one of the orders to me of Secretary Ona was to address the problem of air pollution. Not only air pollution, clean water, sanitation, because these are big city problems that does not require only the Department of Health, but will require other agencies, the DILG, the DENR, the LTO, because the number one cause of air pollution is the motor vehicle. And we fight with the cigarette companies, pero we're asking our people to breathe air that can cause lung cancer. There's something wrong there. So I was actually instructed, pero pinalitan po tayo nung acting, so I'm no longer the regional director, the concomitant regional director of NCR. I've endorsed this issue to the regional director na na-appoint. But syempre yung usapan namin, even the launches, hindi ko na-attendan because I was no longer the sitting regional. But I'm telling you, you are correct. Air pollution is a big problem. In fact, I had, in part of this, I've already been meeting with De La Salle University, yung mga Atenista dito. De La Salle University. And
Salista
the College of Engineering, we have been talking, and they said, let's correlate our work. They've been doing air quality monitoring in Taft Avenue. I said, that's very simple. All over the country, all over the world, what was done to fight air pollution was they matched it with asthmatic attacks going to emergency departments of hospitals. So simple lang yun eh. You give me the pollution index, and then I'll give you the number of people going to the emergency rooms of that locality. And then I'll find out the correlation na talagang bad for health ang air pollution. Kasi yung cancer, matagal pa yun. Bago ko ma-prove yun, iba na presidente, iba na. Pero yung acute asthmatic attack, yung COPD na inatake, yung asthmatic na nagpunta sa ER dahil di na siya makahinga, and that happens during New Year's celebration.
Yes, I know.
Asthmatic ako. I like to go out on kasi hindi ako makahinga talaga.
Alright. Yes, please.
Tama yung sinasabi ni Doc eh. Kasi I myself, I have rhinitis. And my doctor said, for as long as you stay in Metro Manila, you're going to have rhinitis.
Every morning.
When I travel to other places, I don't have post-nasal drip. I don't have all the aspects of rhinitis. It's only here. That's because of the quality of our air.
Okay. Tama yun. Pero yung bang LTO, nung nakaupo kayo, napagalaw niyo ba yung motor vehicle inspection system?
Okay, talking of the motor vehicle inspection system. Yung motor vehicle inspection system, sa mahabang panahon yan, panahon pa ni...
Pakilapit lang po ng microphone.
Sa mahabang panahon, pinag-usapan yan, mag-umpisa pa nung panahon ni Presidente Cory Aquino. Pinagplano-plano na yan. Ano? Dumating yung panahon ni President Ramos, gano'n din na pag-usapan. Nahanapan kung saan kukunin yung pondo. Hanggang dumating yung panahon ni President Gloria Arroyo, ganun pa rin ang naging problema. Ang sabi namin noon, meron tayong pera. Hindi natin kailangan yung mga, kasi ang mga iniisip noon is i-privatize, hatiin sa 4 quadrant ang Pilipinas para yung distribution ng mga motor vehicle inspection system. Sabi ko, pwede naman ang gobyerno gumawa nun eh. Saan kukunin ng pera? Doon sa RA 8794, road users charge.
Road users tax.
Charge. No, it's not a tax. It's a charge.
It's a charge.
Yeah, road users charge. Ano yun? Yung 7.5% na nakaalot doon sa DOTC para sa pollution control.
Yung din dapat ang source ng road safety.
Yun ang dapat.
Hindi, iba. Ang road safety is another 7.5%.
Ayun,
Which is controlled by DPWH together with yung road maintenance portion.
So may pera pala.
May pera. So doon namin kinuha yung pampagawa ng mga motor vehicle inspection system. During my term, napagana ko 4 na motor vehicle inspection centers. 2 dito sa Maynila, yung doon sa tabi ng LTO Central, tsaka yun nandun sa may airport. Tapos yung sa may Region 3 sa San Fernando, then yung sa Cebu, no, na gawa natin mapaandar yun. Naumpisahan din gawin yung nandun sa may Alaminos, Laguna, no, natagalan bago napaandar. Ang layunin nun was magpatayo ng mga motor vehicle inspection systems sa lahat ng regions dito sa Pilipinas, no. At ang dapat nga mangyari is tumupad tayo doon sa Vienna Convention na ang sasakyan bago marehistro kinakailangan dumaan sa inspection. Para matiyak, una-una yung safety ng sasakyan, pangalawa is pollution.
Pero paano yan, Bert? May mga narirehistrong sasakyan, may bagong sticker, pero mukhang 2 tornilyo na lang, magkakahiwa-hiwalay na eh. How is it possible?
Hindi nga kasi gumagana yung motor vehicle inspection system natin.
Okay, may non-appearance.
Non-appearance. In fact, nag-appear din, pero yeah, oo. And in fact, nung panahon ko, marami ako napasarang motor vehicle, yung emission testing centers kasi every afternoon nakaugalian kong yung ina-upload na pictures. Naging elaborate itong tungkol sa pollution natin eh. Nung naging batas yung Philippine Cleaner Act noong 1999, yung tungkol sa pollution created by motor vehicles, pinaubaya yan sa DOTC. Correct. No? At of course, kasama doon sa usapin na yan is yung DTI. Paano napasok yung DTI? Kasi sila yung nag-accredit ng emission testing centers. Ang sabi namin, hindi pwedeng gawin mo parang sari-sari store yan na kung saan-saan lang tatayo. No? Kasi ang mangyayari niyan, magpapaligsahan yan, hanggang sa ang katapusan niyan, yung sasakyan, hindi na nga pupunta ron sa center. Kundi yung tao na lang, kakausapin yung center, mag-i-issue ng certificate.
For a fee.
For a fee. Naging elaborate na nga yan because noon ang hinihingi lang is yung Certificate of Compliance, COC. But of course, nadadaya yun. So in-enhance nila, no? Ginawa nilang parang real time, tapos in-enhance further na may picture na. But sabi ko nga, maraming nakapanood ng pelikula ni Tom Cruise. Mm-hmm. So yung sasakyan na nandun yung nagte-test, inspector, 100 pictures yun. Puro ang yung suot niya yun. Yung lukot ng damit niya
Yun pa rin.
Pero yung plaka lang nag-iiba.
Okay. Ganon kagaling, kateki ang Pilipino.
The Philippine Medical Association,
Yes.
Clean Air Advocates.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Proof, and we presented this to DOTC last year. Sabi namin, this cannot correct air pollution until we correct this anomaly. Hindi mangyayari to. Pati yung sinabi rin namin yung sa public transport na mga trucks, di ba? Ang dami tayo. Motorcycle ang una namamatay. Pangalawa, yung tawag ko killer trucks and killer buses. Sa ibang bansa pala, may nagagalaw na speed limit doon. Yung bus or truck cannot go beyond 85 kilometers per hour kasi may matutweak ka pala doon sa machine.
Victory Liner is now doing it.
Oh, I'm glad because now kita mo naman kung mag-drive ka lang sa SLEX, NLEX kung harurutin ng mga bus. Yun, pag hindi naman problema yung overspeeding Ang problema is when you suddenly stop.
And that's
Like hitting another car or hitting another vehicle.
At yun ang problema.
Yun na nakakamatay.
Delikado yun. Yes, please.
Magandang umaga po, Jerry Kibilan, free lunch. 4 po ang tanong ko bawat isa.
Naku, delikado yan.
Balitan to.
Priority.
Unang-una from Engineer Suansing. Yung the spirit and letter of the law. A lot of people are just implementing the letter of the law because there's so
Pakilapit na po
many
sa mikropono.
lawyers in government. Like dito sa Uber. It's very convenient for people who want safety, fast service. Ano po masasabi niyo dyan?
Okay, Uber. Magaling po yung Uber, maganda yan. Kaya lang, let's separate the issue kasi ang pinag-uusapan dyan is app. At saka yung physical, yung pag-transport ng tao. Yung paggamit ng app, tama lang yun. Pero yung dapat nagagamitin mo sa sasakyan, since they're doing public service, it should be a vehicle that is duly franchised by LTFRB.
Okay.
Yun po yun.
Naintindihan po namin yan.
Oo.
Sana naman hindi pinahirapan ng gusto yung safety ng mga tao.
Yes, opo. Tama po yun. Kasi ang iniiwasan natin dito, yung paikot sinasabi namin paikot.
Oo.
There was a hearing for that purpose, yung tungkol sa Uber. Ang sinasabi ng Uber, ang binabayaran ng tao is hindi yung pagsakay dun sa sasakyan, kundi yung paggamit niya ng app. Pwede palang gawin namin ganitong business model namin. Pupunta kami sa PGA o order kami ng 10 kayin. Tapos magse-set up kami ng coffee shop and for a cup of coffee, we'll take you anywhere. You pay for the cup of coffee and not for the ride.
Okay, salamat po.
Okay.
Tungkol dito kay Usec Herbosa, which I will refer to another Herbosa of SEC that will be addressed to Colonel Po. Usec,
That's my sister, by the way.
I know.
That's my more intelligent
I know,
sister.
and you belong to the
Kasi
Rizal
top
clan.
ng klase nila yun. At saka,
And you belong to the Rizal clan,
thank you.
who I admire, okay? At any rate, tungkol po dito kay Icona. Icona is a good person. I've known him for a long time. He's my neighbor at Valle Verde 5, a member of the Rotary Club of Pasig. It appears to me that the charges against him and even you is politically motivated because 2016 is approaching. And the lady from Panay has a very strong political power. And I'll tell you why. Because it's about also the appointment of Dino Tanhuatco. Chichos Luciano is one of the best in the industry. Why two presidents, Chichos served two presidents. And the other one is the latest appointment of a political clan in Leyte. I know the guy. I know Bem Bem. Isn't this a political accommodation? A lot of people don't want to answer it directly. This is Tapatan.
Okay.
I'm here because of Tapatan.
So,
I'm
ano
not-
tanong?
I was late for...
1 hour. By the way, Secretary Alunan, look, really binagama ka niya. Thank you. He just texted me. Because I was so happy.
The question is,
What is the question? The question is it a political accommodation?
I am not a politician. I was trained a doctor. I can classify myself, but I'm a lowly government doctor that works at the University of the Philippines and was asked by this president to serve as Undersecretary to Secretary Ona. So, which I did for 4.5 years. I've actually fulfilled that mandate. And we have lots to prove for what we've accomplished. We've accomplished what was called the Aquino Health Agenda into a reality. We passed the syntax law, we passed the RH law, things that never was able to pass. We were able to increase the budget fourfold of the Department of Health. Now it's fivefold for next year. You're asking me a political question and an opinion question. I was told never to answer questions that ask my opinion. You ask me about facts, I will answer you technically kung anong facts. You ask me about the integrity of Secretary Ona, that's why I worked as Undersecretary for Secretary Ona because 40 years he has been a government hospital director, first at UP as a professor, as my professor, and then at the National Kidney Institute. You know what he told me when he first recruited me? Sabi niya ganon, Ted, I want all hospitals in the Philippines to look like NKTI. Gusto ko malaglag sa upuan ko. Sabi ko, paano kung gagawin yun eh? Ilan lang ang Secretary Ona that can do that. But we've done our best to try to improve the health system. If this is the reward, kayo na lang mag-judge. Let the truth judge what has been done. Ako, to me, that is the best answer. Because I cannot answer you, this is a political question, this is an opinion. I'm not a politician. Secretary Ona and I have no political backing. We're doctors. Both of us are just doctors.
I know that. Even the predecessor of Secretary at NKTI was a former district governor of our club.
okay. Next
Now,
question.
going to another
Dagdag ko lang
Herbosa.
40 years. I am 40 years in government service. Secretary Ona and I have never had cases. And that proves our dedication to public service.
Thank
so
you, sir.
if you now try to concoct cases against us, you will have difficulty. Ako, even in my 4 years in the DOH, if they try to concoct cases against me, they will find difficulty. Yun ang masasabi ko.
And let me tell you, Usec, about what I emailed to Icona yesterday about the other cases. I emailed him, and Jerry, thank you for backing me up.
I cannot talk about Secretary Ona kasi you can ask him that. But I can tell you about myself. I can tell you myself. You said earlier, I come from the Rizal clan. I am, for those who don't know, I am a great-grandnephew of Rizal. My grandfather was one of the 3 nephews with Rizal. And I have every right to keep the Herbosa name intact and upright.
About the sect.
Thank you. Magpapabaril ka rin pala.
Oo nga. Kaya nga ako nag-Usec eh.
Okay.
Kita mo, binabaril kami ngayon.
I was wondering if the PNP, when this problem of the delivery courier of licenses, ever checked with SEC's Chairman Herbosa.
Yung pala naman, okay. Oh, sige. Okay na yun. Okay, Secretary Alunan, ano pa tanong?
Kay Secretary Alunan, that's why I wear this pin. Because,
Wala.
hindi, yun, yung, if the PNP ever check with SPC, because,
I-check na lang.
sige.
Check na lang. Okay. Okay.
si
For
Secretary Alunan na lang, okay. Alam mo naman, gamit-gamit ko to. I have pins every day.
Sige. All right.
And I want that the China and the Philippine relationship improve because of the economic situation. We can have a lot of opportunities from them. Only because there's a problem about our group, like Roy Goles, telling that we should already make amends, do something else, and that thing. But Secretary Alunan, former President FBR, seem to have a different view, basically, which is basically the same now. They have already merged about doing business with China, improving relationship with China. But the thing is, China has two policies. Something is more for their interest and for another one for international cooperation. So Secretary Alunan, what can you say about that?
Specifically, you want me to answer your question about how we will proceed with our relations with China. Basically, that's what you want to know. You want to know. We should continue building bridges and maintaining our bridges with China wherever we can. Because at some point, our geopolitical issues with China will fall away. We cannot ignore the biggest elephant in the room. Right? We have to deal with it. On the other hand, when it comes to our national interest, it also behooves us to protect it the best way we can. If the situation calls for standing up to China because of actions that are deemed illegal in international law, then I think it's important for us to stand up and get all parties, including China, to observe the rule of law.
Okay.
Because we're all members of the United Nations, and we've all signed up to various international conventions, and we're obliged as signatories to live up to those obligations.
Okay.
And China, being a member of the Security Council, should do no less. In fact, it even has the greater responsibility to see to it that it improves the peace and security environment in the region, not the other way around.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, please.
Morning po, gentlemen.
Did I answer your question?
Okay na. Jerry, tinatanong ko kung okay na yun. Okay na. Ayos po. Ayos. All right. Thank you. Sige, go ahead with the question.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Juvie de Guzman from DWBL. Tanong ko lang si Sir Suansing, since na dati siya sa LTFRB, LTO. Ewan ko lang po kung alam niyo po yung tungkol dito sa mga bagong plate number na ginagawa ngayon, na ini-issue po dun sa mga bagong biling kotse. I understand, sabi ho mismo ng taga-LTO, hindi para ho ito naka-computer, pero ginagamit ho ng mga motorista. Ano ho bang suggestion nyo rito? Hindi ko rin ho maintindihan kasi. Yung white plate na ginagamit ho ngayon.
Yung mga tatlong letra.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
During my time, madalas na namin pag-usapan nung panahon na yun, na yung series
Opo.
na ginagamit natin, yung 3 letters, 3 numbers, malapit nang mapuno. No? Pag tinignan mo yung numero ng mga bagong sasakyan na pumapasok sa serbisyo, mga within 5 years, puno na yan. At meron kasi tayong batas na yung series niya, halimbawa, ABS 123, minsan mo lang gagamitin yan. Hindi mo pwedeng ulit-ulitin yan sa ibang sasakyan pag nagre-retire ka ng sasakyan. Bawal yun. No? So, naiisip na nung panahon na yun na baguhin yung series. Yung iba nga, iniisip na baliktarin kaya natin, numbers naman mauna, bago letters. Ano? Yung mga ganon.
Opo.
naging komplikado ang usapin nung pinakialaman yung procurement. Because yung procurement niyan is within LTO level lang yan eh.
Sino po nakialam?
Hindi, yung pakialam naman na yung DOTC ang pumasok
DOTC.
sa
Sino po
Sena.
secretary ng DOTC nun?
Hindi naman. Nung panahon pa ni Secretary Pindesus,
Okay.
gusto na nilang gawin na lahat ng mga procurement ng mga iba't ibang ahensya under
Opo.
DOTC, gawin sa DOTC.
Sir, nung panahon nyo, okay naman po, wala naman po problema. Yung ngayon lang, kinakabahan po kasi
nung panahon
ako.
ko, so far, nakaligtas naman ako nang wala akong
Oo.
kaso.
Opo.
So I think okay.
Ay, hindi ko lang maintindihan kung paano kaya aabutin nitong mga motoristo na hindi ho naka-computerize yung kanilang mga plate number na maaaring maka-aksidente sila tapos, di ba, hahanapin mo yun. Tapos wala pala dun sa encoding, sir.
Hindi,
yun ang
ganito yan.
problema.
Yung ipapasok sa sistema, ginagawa pa nila ngayon yan.
Opo.
Although, ang mangyayari niyan, kung halimbawa in case of an accident or anything that has something to do with the plate registration nung sasakyan, it will take some time para matrace kung kanino yung sasakyan na yon. Unlike nung under the present system, na nakapasok sa sistema yung mga series na yan, pag tinanong mo yung LTO, madali kagad matuntun. Halimbawa yung PNP, pupunta sa LTO, hihingin niya yung particulars ng isang sasakyan.
Opo.
Dahil nakapasok yan doon sa aming IT provider, which is up to now, yung Stratcom.
Thank you. Okay, si DOH Usec Ted Herbosa po. Meron lang po itatanong based on the latest lang po ito, sir. Sa isang ospital po kasi nangyari po yung false detection ng isang doktor na ooperahan ho sana na ang detection po ay appendicitis.
Okay.
Supposed to be on operation na to, nung araw na yon.
Okay.
Tapos po inarbor ng isang doktor, sabi po walang diabetes yan, impatchol.
Diabetes o walang appendicitis?
Walang appendicitis, sorry, thank you. Walang appendicitis, pero yung operation na gagawin, kung ma-imagine nyo, Doc, kung ganito yung mga doktor na ma-encounter natin, na ooperahan yung tao na false pala po yung kanilang detection. Misdiagnosis. Tapos po, impatchol lang pala at magaling naman yung tao. Paano po kayang sitwasyon sa ganitong pagkakataon? Kasi po,
Ang tatanong ko sa iyo, ano nangyari sa pasyente? Kasi one of those two is wrong. Sino ngayon ang tama?
Magaling na ho yung pasyente ngayon.
Hindi na naoperahan.
Hindi na ho naoperahan. So, naagap.
Pwede pa rin appendicitis yun na nakuha ng antibiotic. Pero kung ang complaint nyo ay ganyan, that is considered a complaint in the practice of the profession of medical practice. So ang complaint niyan, hindi sa Department of Health. Ang complaint ng patient should be lodged with the Professional Regulation Commission kasi unethical yun eh.
Opo.
Yung pipilitin mo operahan, yung hindi kailangan maoperahan.
Opo.
So, dapat i-complain noong patient sa Professional Regulation Commission. Pwede rin mag-complain sa amin, pero ipapasa ko yan sa professional regulation. Kung ang complaint is sa ospital,
Yes, Doc.
kasi kami ang nagla-license sa ospital. PRC ang nagla-license sa doktor.
Opo.
So pag ang complaint ay with the practice of medicine, mag-complain po yung mga mamamayan natin sa PRC. At kung complaint madumi yung ospital, na infection siya sa ospital,
Opo.
ang complaint po sa amin kasi kami nagbibigay ng lisensya doon sa ospital.
Opo, what if kung naoperahan to, tas mali pala? Anong mangyayari?
Pwede pa rin siya mag-complain.
Ganun pa
She can
rin.
still complain for malpractice kasi lalabas yung pathology report
Yes,
na normal yung appendix. So, usually, surgeon ako, no? So, ang procedure dyan, meron talagang error rate ng appendicitis. What can be looked at is yung tinatawag na error rate nitong doktor na to. Kasi ang dapat unang mong tanong dyan, nagpapatayo ba ng bahay itong doktor na to? Kaya kayong mga pasyente, pagka tatanungin niyo yung secretary, bago ho ba bahay ni or bago kotse? Kung may bagong kotse, baka mas nasusway siya yung mga medyo mukhang appendicitis, nagiging appendicitis.
Dok, kasi...
So, it's always good to seek a second opinion. I'm
Okay.
glad nag-seek ng second opinion to.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Save siya
much.
ng operation.
Thank
Magkano
you,
ba
Doc.
yung operasyon dapat?
Mga 30, 50 yun. Pag
Reminder lang ho
Yes.
Reminder lang ho yung mga magtatanong. Sana, yung tatanong nyo yung hindi na obvious yung sagot.
Okay.
Tsaka yung mga, alam niyo naman yung tanong na hindi pa pwede sagutin ng guest natin.
Okay. Next.
Magandang umaga po, gentlemen, sir.
Go ahead.
Nabanggit nyo kanina, when it comes to technical question, kaya nyo sagutin. May existence po ng good virus and bad virus. Saan dito yung balancing po? Halimbawa po, nabanggit ni Alunan, Secretary Alunan, may lugar talagang na-allergic siya. Tama po yun. Ibig sabihin, nag-i-react yung immune system nyo sa environment na ginagalawan nyo. Is there such a thing na ecological balance na there are some virus o yung mga species na nawawala sa lugar na to because of wala na yung species na yun. Now, pag napasok ang tao doon, nagre-react ngayon yung immune system. Is there such a thing as a ecological balance when it comes to bacteria and viruses? Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, hindi yan ang problem. It's not the good viruses or the good bacteria that is the problem. Our problem is that our bacteria and the microbes, all the microbes, fungi, viruses, and bacteria evolved with us. We invent better antibiotics, we invent better antivirals, we invent vaccines. But nagre-reform siya. Tapos the other problem is, if you notice, itong MERS coronavirus galing sa camel, itong avian influenza galing sa ibon, itong anong tawag dito? Ebola galing sa fruit bats. You're realizing na ang karamihan ng new and emerging diseases are what we call zoonotic diseases. They come from animals. Animals that have jumped from the animal kingdom to the people. Now, that's the fear. Kasi lumalaki yung world population eh. Nawawala yung habitat nitong mga animals na to, tapos naghahalo na sila. You know, we start taking care of camels. May beauty contest pala ng mga camel sa Middle East. Kaya yun ang kasabay nung pag-spread nung MERS coronavirus. So, the other thing is yung bad medicine. Bad medicine is over-the-counter, bumibili tayo ng antibiotic. Meron tayong poultry, binibigyan ng antibiotic. Meron tayong babuyan, binibigyan ng antibiotic. What does those practices do? They actually help mutate the bacteria into super bacteria. Kasi nga, parang tinetesting mo sila, parang sundalo. Pag pinagera mo ng pinagera yan, magaling na yan, parang si Rambo na yan. Ganun din yung bacteria. They mutate very easily. So some of our more effective drugs, if you use it sa pangsabong mo o ginamit mo sa piggery mo para hindi magkasakit, you are actually destroying the ecology. So may laban kami ngayon, we are fighting against drug resistance to antibiotics. And we call it One Health. Pinagsasama namin na it cannot be the doctors alone and the people practicing medicine na over-the-counter. Kailangan antibiotic, actually, dapat may prescription eh. Pero sino nagpupulis na bumunta ka ng butika ngayon, makakabili ka ng amoxicillin kahit wala kang reseta. So there's a problem in our health system. So iniisip namin, baka dapat computerized, baka dapat talagang very strict pag nagbenta yung butika, sara na siya. So kasi ang effect niya later on is really bad. So ibig sabihin nun, the antibiotics become worse. Ito, multiple drug-resistant TB. Di ba? Yun yung isang effect niyan. Umiinom ka ng drug for TB, hindi mo tinatapos. So eventually, lumalakas yung TB. So yung regular medicines ngayon, hindi na nag-work. So that's a bigger public health concern. Yan dapat ang mga ina-address natin kaysa tong Ebola na medyo malayo sa kabilang ibayo at quarantine.
Okay. We're about to wind up. We're about to wind up. Anong nakikita mo, Senior Superintendent po, na magaganap sa mga susunod na buwan? Remember, dalawang events yung magaganap sa Pilipinas. Una yung papal visit, tapos yung APEC ministerial meeting at yung summit.
Nakalimutan mo yung Feast of the Black Nazarene.
Oh, sa Maynila yun.
Okay.
Oo.
Unang-una, no, before I delve into those major activities, ang pagpupulis, ang pulisya ay dalawa ang trabaho. I wish it was that simple. Unang-una is you prevent crime. At kung may nangyaring krimen, ay you solve the crime. Okay, it's as simple as that. Pero yung pagpapatupad ng dalawang trabaho na yan ay hindi po ganun kadali. So, kasi ang gagawin ng lahat yan ay tao at pulis. So nito mga nakaraang taon at buwan ay nag-focus ang pulisya or ang pamunuan ng PNP on these two aspects. How should you prevent crime? Ang pagpe-prevent kasi is you take out the opportunity for criminals to do that. Para mawalan sila ng oportunidad, dapat nandun yung pulis. So, ang mga pulis ay dapat nasa kalsada. So, ang solusyon dyan ay yung pagre-recruit ng mas maraming kapulisan para madagdagan ang ating pulis na ilalagay sa kalye. So, hindi naman sapat na ilalagay mo yung mga pulis sa kalye. They should be trained appropriately for this function. At before that, dapat ang nirecruit mo ay maayos. So, ang PNP ay matagal na rin simulan na ang nire-recruit nating kapulisan ay medyo mas maayos. There are more stringent measures in the selection or recruitment of PNP personnel. Unang-una rito yung nawawala yung corruption, yung magbibigay ng pera, nare-recruit, and the likes of favoritism. So ang nakikita natin dito is the recruitment process is far better now. The recruitment process is ongoing para mas marami tayong pulis na mailagay sa kalye para mga oportunidad ng mga krimen ay mabawasan. Tungkol naman sa prevention or dissolution of crimes rather, ay tuloy-tuloy din yung training ng ating mga kapulisan sa kanilang capability to solve crimes. Sa tulong ng mga ibang bansa ay nagkakaroon tayo ng mga scientific methods in solving crimes. Yung ating AFIS or Automated Fingerprint Identification System ay matagal nang nasa krami yan at patuloy na lumalaki ang ating database dyan. Katunayan, every month meron tayong tinatawag na hit or itong mga fingerprint na nare-recover natin, latent prints na nare-recover natin sa crime scene, and including those seeking for police clearances, ay nagkakaroon ng hit sa ating AFIS. So, every month ay meron tayong nahuhuling mga kriminal through this AFIS. Pangalawa, etong sumunod na scientific evidence procedure or procedures is yung IBIS, yung Integrated Ballistics Identification System. At kagaya ng AFIS, ay meron din tayong na-identify na mga kriminal doon sa mga naiiwan nila mga basyo ng barel o ng bala at yung mga islag ng mga bala pinutok nila. Sa mga krimen na pinoprocess ng ating PNP to the crime laboratory, nagkakaroon tayo ng match sa tinatawag nating database din na nasa pag-ari ng crime lab. So in like manner, sa APIS, meron tayong nasusolve na crime sa IBIS doon sa pagkakamatch ng mga bala or basyo.
Okay.
So we are looking at the professionalization, the efficiency of police in solving crimes and preventing crimes. Dito sa pagdating ng tatlong malaking event natin next year, the preparation have been going on for the last 3 or 4 months, and katulong natin ang ibang sangay ng gobyerno, lalo na AFP, and we are making sure that there will be zero incident in these upcoming activities, specifically the APEC and the visit of the Pope.
Okay. Can you update us on Congressman Belmonte's slate try?
Meron na tayong sketch on the supposed suspects, and they have certain names, and they are following it up for validation ng lahat ng nakitang suspects dito.
Yeah. Meron daw isang nahuli na, naiwan ng grupo.
I think so. Yun yung na-identified through witnesses, yes, and everything. But they are still conducting follow-up police operations on the other suspects. Kaya medyo hindi pa masyadong pinag-uusapan yun.
Yes, please. Please.
Okay.
Attorney Baquilod of Areopagos, yes.
Okay. My question is basically on economy. We have heard reports about how great the economy is in the Philippines. I come from a very poor province, Eastern Samar, and I just want to know if there are specific plans of the government to ensure that economy is really trickling down to the very poorest economies, like my province, Eastern Samar. I have heard so much about so many things going on in Metro Manila and in, urban places, but nothing very concrete for our provinces.
Yeah. Secretary Rafi, would you care to react to that? Coming from the outside looking in.
I'm sure there are plans. Okay, it's a question of execution. And execution depends on whether you have the right people in place at the national and local level. No? Obviously, we don't, because Eastern Samar remains poor. There's a problem, right?
So not even the DAP and PDAF could solve it?
It's going to other pockets, right? I mean,
okay.
that seems to be the situation. Of course, that's to be proven. But I mean, let me just say something about PDAF and DAP. You know, we have a lot of money. You're talking about money. We have money. It's just that it's going to the wrong people and to the wrong pockets and for the wrong purpose. That said, we're talking. I think what we have to talk about is poverty, right? Because poverty continues to be the major problem that's setting back the growth, progress, and development of our country. What we don't have in place is a mindset and policies that will undo policies and programs that tend to provide or give the monopoly of opportunities only to a given few. That's the reason why we continue to have this disparity between the rich and the poor, because the rich have all, because of their vested interests and their partnership with the people that they put in government, have actually monopolized opportunities and access to opportunities and have left out the rest of the populace. Now, for us to be able to resolve the poverty problem, we have to undo what has been done all these years. We have to convert our economy into an inclusive economy, meaning to say, the costs and benefits of growth and development should be shared by all.
That's basic.
So, but you know, for us to be able to change our policies, we need to have a change of mindsets. No, that's a generational issue, and we all of us have to work hard at converting ourselves to be less selfish and to move from self gratification to a person or to a community or to society that looks after the common good. See, that's the foundation. If you don't have that foundation, your policies and programs will not follow. And you use the word trickle down economics. I hate the word trickle down because that means it's only the crumbs that go to the bottom. You know, what we should have is a fair and equitable distribution of the benefits of growth and development. That's what we ought to have. Trickle-down economics is for the garbage can.
I know. Trickle-down is just a minimum. We don't see that at all. So we're at least asking for that to happen. Our situation has been there.
Can I add to Secretary Alunan's comments? I'll answer you from the point of view of healthcare and universal healthcare implementation. We see exactly what you said. When we have a map of kasi the focus of universal healthcare was for the poor, if you notice. So when you look at the map of the Philippines, Eastern Samar is red. Why is it red? Because majority of the people that we targeted, yung National Household Targeting System for the Poor, that means when you're red, more than 80% of the people in that province belong to that category. Ano yung poorest of the poor is earning 3,700 pesos per family per month. And majority of the people from Eastern Samar belong there. So yung funds na nakuha namin sa health, ay binibigay namin doon sa poorest provinces. So yan, we try to build the health facilities pero tinamaan naman ng bagyo. In fact, we put a CT scan in Region 8, nasira siya ng bagyo, ng Yolanda. So we're trying to go where the poor are. Pero in the process that we do that, nagrereklamo din yung people who are also demanding in the rich. Sabi, asa ng solidarity? Kami mas malaki binabayad na tax. Bakit doon yung binubuhos yung pera sa mahihirap? Hindi naman nagbabayad ng tax yan. So there's always that debate, no, on how you do the trickle down. You know, you hate the word. I don't like the word as well. Pati yung down. Kasi what we need to do is equitable distribution of basic services, education, healthcare, and of course, yung basic problem that I saw. And in my 4 years, I saw where the healthcare was poorest. I will bet you there is a dynasty there. That the family name of the leader in that particular locality has been the same for generations. And and that is fact. I beg to disagree, but that is a fact. And that's what my findings are. The findings are the poorest healthcare and educational system are in communities that have been electing the same family over the years.
So it boils down to one thing.
Can I just add one thing, please? Maikli lang ito. And I want to reinforce what Usec Herbosa said. During my time sa DILG, I wanted to know who were the best performing local government officials. And I wanted to know their profession before they became politicians. Okay. Number 1 in the survey were doctors.
Best performing.
Number 2 were engineers. And the last, at the bottom of the list were lawyers. No. And I asked the question, why? And the reason given was, doctors and engineers are trained to diagnose a problem and to solve it. Okay? Lawyers are trained to prolong the problem.
Thank you for that information. But it is sad to note that the country is actually led by a lot of lawyers. Anyway, thank you so much. But my specific question really was, considering the fact that our situation had been there for the longest time, what is the government really doing to address this? I mean, we have a lot of laws, there's a lot of corruption. Corruption is all over, endemic in the government. We know that. But is the government not doing anything more than that?
Society has a lot to answer for.
We always know that those who have less should have more in law. How is this being applied to my province?
Okay.
Alam mo, yung less, may magagawa rin yan. By electing yung mga tao na karapat-dapat, have you tried to analyze? Yun nga, i-connect natin yung sinasabi nila. No? Yung mga taong naipwesto natin sa gobyerno, karapat-dapat ba talaga sila?
Okay.
So, don't look at government. Don't look at government. Tayo na mismo. Like for example, yung nangyayari dito sa Metro Manila ngayon. We keep on blaming MMDA. Tigilan natin yan. Yung sisiyan si Chairman Tolentino. Tayo na mismo mag-umpisa. Let's put discipline. Tayo na mismo disiplina sa sarili natin.
Okay.
Pero sa isang lugar tulad ng Makati na may umiihi na sa gitna ng karsada dahilan sa traffic, and you had a remark on Facebook, what does it say? It went viral, no?
It only means one thing. He forgot to bring his jingle bag.
Okay. All right.
No. He has a prostate problem. I think he needs to go to his urologist.
Okay, maganda to usapan na to. Lumawak ng lumawak. And this is how we describe 2014. Linggoy, pahabol. Bago tayo magpaalaman muna for 2014.
Para kay Usec, dahil kayo naman po ay naging director ng NCR, ng DOH, no? Pwede nyo ipaliwanag ang sistema ng trauma emergency rooms ng mga public hospitals at kung alam nyo, yung private hospitals para sa Good Samaritans na halimbawa makapulot ng accident victim, saan po dapat dalhin? Basically, trauma na aksidente ng auto or aksidente ng barilan at saksakan.
Correct. Well, that's a very good question. And I'm telling you, I will answer that not as regional director of NCR, concomitant, but as my lifelong work, which is I'm a trauma surgeon. I was head of the PGH Emergency Department for 12 years and I tried to improve the services. Kasi nga, emergency rooms are the recipient of society's bad behavior. Nag-inuman ka, nag-drive ka ng sasakyan mo, na-aksidente ka. O kaya nag-inuman ka, nakipagsaksakan ka, nakipagbarilan ka. Now, the problem was, for a long time, trauma patients, walang pera, walang na-hold up, walang pambayad. But we hope that with the era of universal healthcare, magbago yan. Ngayon, pinag-aagawan na pasyente kasi income sila to the public hospital. Because now, almost 84% ang sabi ng PhilHealth. Ewan ko kung totoo yun. 84% of the population is enrolled. So most likely, if you are a hospital, hindi ka na dapat ma-zero. So yung old practice na tineturf, mahirap. Ang titingnan nila, hindi kung serious o namamatay yung pasyente. Titingnan nila yung wallet, ang tawag naming mga doktor doon, wallet triage. Kasi kung private hospital ka, ililipat ka kaagad ng private hospital sa pinakamalapit na government hospital na nagkataon naman ay siksikan ng tao hanggang pasilyo may mga pasyente. Kaya kung dinala ka doon, nasaksak ka, kung kulang ng doktor at operating room, mamamatay ka rin. So parang talagang warehouse of death. So we hopefully, that's where the public-private sector mix really has to happen. The private sector is doing this kasi talo sila. They are at a loss. They invest in hospitals. But today, we insure all the poor. So pag mahirap ka, taga-informal settler ka, nasaksak ka, dinala ka sa private hospital, hindi siya masisiro. May masisingil ngayon siya sa PhilHealth. So hopefully this turfing, ang tawag namin mga doktor dito, yung turfing o pag-basketball ng pasyente. And the media has covered this for many years. A patient that is transferred to 8 hospitals and dies on the 9th hospital. Di ba? Yan yung common. We hope that will change. But the change has happened fundamentally. The change has happened with the financing system na bigyan mo ng insurance lahat ng mahirap para hindi siya i-refuse. Now, they've got to know their right. The poor have got to know, say, teka, hindi mo ako pwedeng i-refuse. May batas. No hospital can refuse an emergency patient. You have to give me first aid before you throw me to the public hospital because I really cannot afford the private hospital. So, madaming mabubuhay.
Senior Superintendent po, paano po yung mga lugar na wala ng baril, wala ng mga balisong, pero nagsasaksakan pa dahilan sa pagkalasing? We're talking of bars somewhere in Metro Manila, lalo na sa Cubao. Ang panaksak barbecue stick. Yung katulad nung Takusa. Yung mga bang-bang ali sa Cubao. Ano pong tingin ng pulis sa ganitong mga lugar na lugar din ng krimen? Wala ng baril, wala lanseta, pero may panaksak.
Alam mo, naguguluhan ako doon. Parang hindi kita masasagot eh. Kasi
nakakarating doon, ano?
Basically, it's a problem of spur of the moment crimes yan eh. Dala ng pag-inom ng alak o nakakalangong mga inumin. So, I think it's basically a problem on regulation of similar establishment. So, kaya lang, pag on the other hand, pwede pang pigilin mo na hanggang 5-4 na bote ka lang na beer kung nagbabayad naman. So, it's still a matter of maintenance of public safety kasi yung pinanggalingan ng barbecue stick, nagtitindi naman ng barbecue sa labas, hanap buhay na legal. So, hindi naman talaga yung barbecue stick naandun para panaksak. So, it's a confluence of all opportunities, right? May lasing, may barbecue stick, nag-away, nasaksak. So, I think it's still a problem of public safety on the presence of policemen. So, madaling sabi, maski gabi yan, maski liblib na lugar, dapat may police presence pa rin. Andun pa rin tinatawag nating police patrol, yung mga mobile patrol natin. And I accept that it's still a problem of the PNP. Okay. So, the solution there is police presence pa rin.
Will you come up with more detectives in civilian clothes rather than in uniform?
I don't see that happening. The trust of the PNP is we are coming out with more police in uniform than in civilian clothes.
Okay. Final word, Bert. What would you see for 2015? Will there be more problems appear at sa tracking business? Yung bang slogan sa plaka ay no plates available pa rin? Ano po kaya ang sitwasyon?
Well, of course, being pragmatic about it, the problems that persisted in 2014 will continue to exist in 2015. Spillover yan. Yung tungkol doon sa pier na nasabi mo kanina, meron man talagang, hindi naman nawala yung congestion. Matagal na panahon meron congestion. Kaya lang, yung before this truck ban thing in Manila, what we had was what we call managed congestion. Na ma-manage yung congestion, ano? Nagkaroon lang confluence of events, like for example, the Bureau of Customs revised their procedures. So many importers were caught by surprise. Nakarating na yung kargamento rito before they realized that nagkaroon ng bagong procedure sa customs. Ano? Hindi mo naman masisisi yung customs and also BIR for that matter. They're running after smugglers. Ano? What the government wanted to do is to, what they say, level the playing field. Meaning, dapat it's between the good importers and the better importers, sabi pa ni Secretary Almendras. Kaya lang siguro ang dapat gawin doon is communications, like for example DTI has to enter into the picture, telling the businessman that itong bagong procedure that you have to follow, parang gano'n, hindi nabubulaga, no? Then of course, as far as traffic is concerned, traffic has been there since the time of Secretary Rafael Alunan. We were together in solving traffic in Metro Manila. No? Traffic will be solved by better traffic management. Yun ang palaging ano dyan, ano? Dyan, yun ang palaging sagot dyan. Better traffic management. What is it? Planong maayos, no? Planong maayos. Yan ang part of on the part of the private sector or the private motorist. It's high time naman na we discipline ourselves. No.
Okay.
We discipline ourselves.
Thank you very much. Usec.
Well, I've heard the questions this morning, very interesting. But, you know, economic growth, inclusive development, inclusive economic growth can be attained with good healthcare. And we need to invest in human capital. We have a population that they call that has a demographic dividend. We're 100 million, 50% of whom are below the age of 25. If we educate them properly, and we're able to provide them jobs and economic opportunities, the potential for growth of this country as a competitive nation and an innovator country will be experienced. Yung prediction ng World Bank that we will be the 16th largest economy by 2030, something like that. And we need to look at the gains done in this past 4 years in investment in human capital. Ano yun? Yung sin tax. Sin taxation is, all the other countries are looking at us. We're the only country that imposed additional taxes on cigarette but put 85% of it in healthcare. So dun nangyari yon. Now what does civil society and media have to do? Make sure that the sin tax does not become the new PDAF. We abolished PDAF, but now there are people interested in the sin tax in the DOH because it's going to be converted to power the fuel of the LGU power and wealth. And that's, I think, what we need to watch out for. We have to make sure that the investment in human capital goes to human capital. So provinces like Eastern Samar will not complain to me. Imagine if you have a poor family and everyone is covered, kahit magkasakit pa yung mga anak niya, tuluyan, makakatapos ng college yan. Kahit mamatay pa yung tatay niya, yung anak matatapos yung kolehiyo. So that's how important this thing is in terms of development. The second one is reproductive health. Reproductive health has changed the landscape. Sabi natin matraffic. Sabi natin hindi umaabot sa poor. Bakit ba? Ano ba ang difference? Yung sa mayayamang Pilipino, 1.8% yung growth nila in the number of people. So yung poor, yung mayaman, dumadami lang at 1.8%. Pero yung poor natin, ang growth rate nila 5.5%. Pag tinotal mo ang Philippine growth rate, 2.3%. Parang ganda na. Pero actually, kitang-kita mo where the problem is. The problem is, our poor are producing so much that the government cannot give them education, cannot give them health care. We need to stave that a little at a certain point in our demographic dividend and make sure that all the Filipinos born in this country will grow up healthy, will not die of disease, and will finish college and become competitive. That's the only time we can compete in this globally competitive world. And that's why very important din yung implementation ng reproductive health. The third is itong PhilHealth law. We revised the PhilHealth law. Dati, ang PhilHealth tumataas lang before an election year. And alam naman natin yon, ginamit naman talaga siya during the election. And we have the statistics to show that before 2010, talagang tumataas yung today, next year, 42 billion ang ipapasok for PhilHealth of the poor. That means, talagang all 90% is actually covered. So we have universal healthcare coverage, but we do not yet have universal healthcare. Kasi kulang pa rin tayo ng ospital. Kulang pa rin tayo. We only have a 5 to 10,000 population ratio of 5 hospital beds per 10,000. The WHO floor of a minimum health system is about 15. So kahit doblehin ko yung public hospital, number of beds, palakihin ko sila, I will only get to 7.5. 2.5 yung kalahati nung 5. Kalahati pa rin sila nung word. So don't expect that it will happen in this term or in the next term. Palagay ko, we need to have more economic growth, higher than 7, to actually fuel the public. And that's why we're going into PPPs. We're telling the private sector, wag na kayong magtayo ng private hospital kasi there's enough private hospital for the rich. What we need are public hospitals for the poor and PPP hospitals for the middle class. Good quality hospitals that can provide care na kayo na may trabaho, pwede na kayong mamili na either private hospital na mahal o may PPP hospital at dahil puno naman dun sa
All right. Thank you very much. Pero let me remind you, yun na lang ang kaligayahan naming mahihirap. Pipigilan mo pa. Magre-revolusyon ka dyan. Ikaw naman, yun na nga lang ang kaligayahan eh. All right.
Pwede naman ituloy yun eh.
Ha? Pwedeng ituloy.
Sunod-sunod yung anak.
Wag sunod-sunod. Okay. At wag dadagdagan ng nanay. Iba yung pro-life sa prolific. I'd like to remind you, ha? Okay. Yes, please.
Madalas narinig natin sa ating mga commander, lalo sa mga pulis, pagka mataas ang naitatala nating krimen, ang ating sinasabi ay we made changes in the reporting of crimes and this is the true picture of crimes now. Mataas talaga. So, lagi natin sabi, bakit mataas? Kasi dati-rate, hindi natin nakaka-capture lahat ng mga detalye ng krimen mula sa barangay hanggang sa kataas-taas ang opisina ng pulis. Kaya pag binabati ko sa pulis ngayon, bakit mataas? Yun ang ating sinasabi. Now that we have captured the true picture of the incidents of crimes, since last year and this year. Next year, we cannot invoke that same reason again. Kung pagkukumpara natin ang total ng crime volumes natin for 2013 and 2014, walang masyadong pinag-iba, although mas maliit lang ng konti. Hindi mo talaga mararamdaman from 1,033,000 to more or less 1,030,000. Konting-konti lang ang binaba mula last year hanggang ngayong taon. But there's a discernible difference or increase in the crimes against property, specifically rape din. So, etong mga kasong ito, ang binabanggit ko, yung crimes against property, we expect that we can do more about that. But on rape, that increased from around 7,000 to more or less approximating 9,000 ngayong taon. That's disturbing. Ang sinasabi natin ay na-capture natin ang true picture. But that may be true, but we have to do something about it. But that the PNP cannot do it alone. Kasi nakikita namin 1 out of 10 are committed by non-relatives. These are the complex crime of rape with homicide. And a majority of the rapes committed by either close relatives or those within the residence or kakilala. So there should be a stronger government intervention for this specific crime that we accept that the PNP cannot really prevent that incident. So,
Yeah.
etong mga krimen na nabanggit, rape, ay kailangan ng government intervention. Itong implementation ng VAUSI, mas lakas dapat ang dating na ating gobyerno. sa
Violence
DSWD.
against women and children.
Yes, kasama ang rape dyan. But generally, ang sinasabi ko is we should expect the PNP to be more efficient, effective next year. So we should be looking at a discernible decrease in crimes against property, crimes against person, specifically the enforcement of special laws, which is what we call non-index crime. Since 2 or 3 months ago, the PDEA have again needed the assistance of the PNP. So ang police ngayon ay nagkaroon ulit ng pahintulot sa PDEA na magtrabaho against illegal drugs. And for the last 2 months ay napakaganda ng operations or accomplishment ng PNP laban sa drugs. So we can see this positive trend until next year. So lalong mas maraming operations against illegal drugs at gaganda ang ating operasyon dito. So in like manner on other aspects of police operations, crimes against property, crimes against persons, bababa tayo dyan. But we are looking at rape to titingnan natin kung ano magagawa ng PNP in coordination with other government agencies.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Secretary Rafi, what do you see in 2015?
I'm not the fortune teller, but I'm here as a citizen, so I will express my aspirations. I'd like to see more leadership exercised, not just in government, but also in society, for a better Philippines. We're talking about crime. We're talking about an overwhelmed criminal justice system because Filipinos, from time to time, have bad behavior that overwhelms the system. We have to curb our bad behavior. Okay, but that takes a lot of doing. That we have to go back to our moral roots and recover whatever we've lost along the way. That's basic. The other has to do with performance excellence. Doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. You know, that should be part of our daily culture, whether you're in government or you're in the private sector or civil sector. Doing ordinary things or extraordinary well, day in, day out, will eventually develop a culture of performance excellence. Those are the things that we need to look at now. Specifically, for the economy, I would like to see more investments in critical infrastructure. Because with more investments in critical infrastructure, we will be more inviting to foreign direct investments and to local capitalists who will pour their money in an economy where they can see the greater improvement in their capacities or abilities to generate profit. Yun lang naman tinitingnan eh. So we have to look at the enablers of growth and development, and critical infrastructure is important. And the multiplier effect will be tremendous also in terms of, for example, improving health. Because if we invest in mass transport systems, okay, that use clean energy, for example, you know, that will automatically change miraculously the air quality in the city, and ultimately we will be able to arrest urban decay. We'll also be able to reduce the costs of doing business because traffic alone costs billions of pesos every day in stranded productivity, no. If we invest in our health infrastructure, then we'll be able to free a lot of people from disease, from the preventive side alone, no, etc. Now, I think we also need to to invest in the criminal justice system, because an investment in the criminal justice system will also bring about peace, growth, and development that we all seek. For as long as we have a system where people can evade punishment for bad behavior, for wrongdoing, then we will continue to feed this culture of impunity. And ultimately, this leads to the demoralization of an entire nation. Okay, the people of any society would like to see a government or a system that works for them. But if we don't allow ourselves that opening to do good and be good, we will only end up demoralizing ourselves as a nation. And that's basically the seeds for the failing of a nation. So we have to avoid that. We have to avoid that trajectory.
Okay.
The last has to do with 2016. As a citizen, I would like to see our political parties function as parties, not as fraternities. I would like them to choose candidates who are meritorious and who are matched for the positions that they seek at the local and the national level. That's number one. Number two, I'd like to see a whole-of-nation approach in terms of voter education. People have to choose wisely. Now, if political parties present candidates that are meritorious, then that helps the voters. Madali na lang yung choice kasi everybody's meritorious no? Pero kung hindi naman meritorious, no choice yung mga voters, no matter how intelligent you are, you'll end up getting, rotten tomatoes, no? So that's number two. Number three, we have to make elections less expensive. Because expensive elections only provide the opportunities for rich people who may be undeserving to hold public office, right? And number four, our election gatekeepers, we have to reform our election gatekeepers. We have to make sure that the sanctity of the ballot is upheld at all times. Those are my aspirations as a citizen.
Basic ito I'd like to thank everyone who took time out to be with us today. This is the last for 2014, and by January 5, the first edition, we will have Chito Santa Romana to give us a view on the South China Sea or West Philippine Sea and Philippines-China relations. We hope to have R.C. Balisacan and Philip Medalla to talk about economics, and Maluti Kia to give us an analysis of politics sa mga susunod na panahon. That will be our agenda for January 5. And of course, sa January 12, PayPal visit na yung topic natin dahil darating ang Holy Father. Let me end our year's presentations with a quote from Anne Frank. She was heard saying, in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. The only problem is when people we elected have proven to be heartless. Magandang araw po. Maraming salamat.